Happy New Year. I hope your year is off to a great start as we let go of an old year, a crazy year, in many ways, a dumpster fire year, if I may be so bold, and enter a new cycle, a new year. It is natural to think, how can I deepen my understanding of myself, of my relationships, of the world, of my spiritual journey? How does one really learn something with a sense of got it, mastered it, did that, now what? How do you really, really train yourself in a lasting way? Well, in the Buddhist view, to do so requires 3 steps. We love lists in the Buddha Dharma. And these 3 steps are commonly called hearing, contemplating, and meditating. And we'll look at each of those. What do they mean? And then we'll go on to our podcast after party, where, to my great delight about myself and about music, I share with you a piece of music that I think is astonishing or personally meaningful, or usually both. So if you want to learn something, whether it's how to meditate or any spiritual practice, or how to craft something or master something, these 3 steps apply. The first step, hearing, in many ways is the most nuanced, because obviously it doesn't just mean listening. It means taking in. It means opening up to. So when you listen to, we'll use spiritual teachings for our example, because that's the universe we're in right now. You want to listen to teachings that you think will be meaningful without first making an opinion about what they might mean based on your life experience. Now, it's very important to do that. You must think about what they mean, and your thinking must be based in your life experience, because what else do you have? But first, rather than thinking about what you think about what you just heard, just hear. Just think about what you're hearing, not what you think about what you're hearing. To belabor the point, so this is a profound kind of opening. It has nothing to do with, yeah, I heard what you said, let me repeat it back to you. It's taking it in a whole different way. A friend of mine, a writer, a brilliant person named Catherine McCune, once said to me, hearing is when you stop thinking your thoughts and start thinking mine. So in many ways, this is a very advanced skill, because most of us just default to our opinions and judgments and preconceived notions. I honestly come by, I'm quite certain. But to stop, even for a moment, and focus instead on what you are hearing, again, not what you think about what you are hearing, is a kind of vulnerability. This morning, I was teaching meditation, as we do every morning in the Open Heart Project, my online practice community. We said every morning from 9 a.m. East Coast time till about 9:45 or 10 a.m. East Coast time. It's wonderful. There are different teachers most days. It's a great way to stabilize your practice and sit with others. So this morning, a woman said that when she first begins to practice, she's riddled with thinking, as everyone is. I mean, who isn't? And then she gets a little anxious about letting go of thinking to place attention instead on the breath, which is what we're doing when we're meditating. But then eventually she does let go of a focus on her thoughts to just feel her body breathing. And she says, it feels so good when I do that. Why does it make me anxious to remove attention from my thoughts and just breathe? So it's a good question. And several people in chat said, yeah, you're naming something that I also experience. And that's something I suggest is vigilance. We think, well, if I stop thinking about this and paying attention to that, and wondering about this and questioning that, everything's going to fall apart. Or this thing that I don't want to happen might happen. But as long as I'm thinking and observing, the chances are reduced that something bad might happen. It's a kind of vigilance. And then at some point in meditation for this woman, she stopped doing that and she just breathed and it feels great. So this vigilance prevents hearing, which is why I bring it up, because we're checking everything for things that might help us or scare us. Those are called hope and fear. And when we can stop doing that for a moment, for a glimpse, for a beat, it is much more likely that we will take in what is being said. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it or like it, but you'll be able to actually hear it. And that's vulnerable. It's vulnerable. So the first step here, hearing, is the willingness to not continually seek refuge in your ideas, in your opinions, in your judgments, and your thoughts. Again, I'm sure they're all brilliant and good and helpful, but for a moment, can you stop that? Can you just hear? Because this is the first step in joyful realization, in seeing more deeply, in being in reality. Otherwise, we're just in our heads, as they say. So the first step is hearing. The second step is called contemplating or checking, you could say. So you hear something, meditation is good for you. Let's say someone might have said that at one point in time to you. And then you hear it, you're like, well, what does that mean? Good in what way? What is this meditation? How many kinds are there? So there's the sort of surface level defining of terms, but then there's the investigating. Next level. Is it good? If I try it, does it help me? Is it true? So this requires careful consideration. So you don't, in other words, just take spiritual teachings, even if someone's like all ricocheted out and wearing robes and has no hair, you still don't go, oh yeah, well, they have no hair and they're wearing robes. So it must be true. You got to wait. Hear it, put aside your projections, and then think about it very, very, very carefully. My favorite teaching as a teacher, my favorite thing to teach is don't take my word for that or anything. I've said that a million times in my work as a teacher, and it's not because I'm trying to be funny. It's because I really mean it. You have to contemplate for yourself because the real wisdom is not me, some Buddhist lady going, you got to think about things. It's your own response to what you hear. It's your own insight, intuition, whatever the dominoes are that fall. Someone may hit the first domino, a teacher or a teaching, and then things start to sort of lay themselves out in your mind. And you think very carefully and you see, because contemplating is not just wondering or making a list of pros and cons, putting things in both columns. It has something, but really not that much to do with intellectual understanding. And it's more about noticing what then unfolds in the light of hearing. So you may hear meditation is good for you. Okay, cool. Then you go to work and you see a placard on the train, come learn meditation here. Doesn't mean you should go there. It doesn't mean, oh, the universe has spoken. It just means, oh, breadcrumb, interesting. Okay. Other people think it's good too. And then maybe you're falling asleep at some point that night, 10 nights later, and that person comes back to you and you remember they said, meditation is good for you. Oh, okay, breadcrumb number two. And then you just see how does your world sort of arrange itself in light of the teaching you heard. Now, it's never black and white. It's never clear, but something happens when you hear a teaching. And then you notice that something. And then you consider, well, what is my decision about this teaching? Is it real? Is it not useful right now? Okay, not useful right now. Cool, excellent, A plus. You never need to think about it again. You heard it, you contemplated it, not for you. Next. However, if you hear it and you contemplate it, you're like, yeah, I think that's true. I think that's a good one for me. Now it's your wisdom. Now the teaching has been absorbed into you. You don't have to worry about where it came from. And then you do step 3, which here is called meditating, but it's not meant as the classical technique of taking the posture and breathing and letting go. Here, meditating means you do it. You live in light of the teaching that you have heard and you have contemplated, and now it's who you are. It's not what you have learned. That's how real change takes place. That's how genuine transformation arises. You hear, you contemplate, you do it, you meditate, hearing, contemplating, meditating. So I want to share with you a brief passage from a wonderful book called Progressive Stages of Meditation on Emptiness. Now, there was no marketing focus group to come up with a title, I'm pretty sure, but it's accurate and straightforward. Progressive Stages of Meditation on Emptiness, subtitle Experiential Training in Meditation, Reflection, and Insight. In other words, hearing, contemplating, and meditating, by the extraordinary Kagyu Buddhist master, deceased not that long ago, Khenpo Tsultrim Gyamtso Rinpoche, who I had the great good fortune to meet on several occasions during retreat. He was a beam of light and a joyful presence. And his main way of teaching, at least as I experienced him in those brief connections, was through song. He wrote a million songs and he taught us how to sing the songs, and we'd stand in circles and sing songs about realization and meditations on emptiness and so on. And at first it was like, oh, this is kind of weird. Then it was just pure joy. So Khenpo Tsultrim Gyamtso Rinpoche says 3 stages in the process of understanding. Meditation should be understood as the 3rd stage in the development of one's understanding. The first stage is to listen to or study the teachings with an open and receptive mind that does not distort what is being heard or studied. The second stage is carefully to reflect on what has been received in order to clarify its true significance. The third stage is to integrate the newly acquired knowledge or understanding into one's being or character. In a sense, this is like putting it into practice. When one talks about meditation practice, one does not mean one is practicing meditation so that one day one will have perfected it and be able to give a perfect performance. Rather, it is practice in the sense of actually doing or being it, as opposed to just thinking about it. So thank you, Khenpo Tsultrim Gyamtso Rinpoche, and your wonderful book, Progressive Stages of Meditation on Emptiness. Sounds very arcane, but it's actually quite practical. So, on to our podcast after party. I wanted to play you this song because I was reading somewhere that in Egypt, it has been proclaimed the year of Kulthoum. Kulthoum. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's been 50 years since she died. She was a singer, but it's like saying, I don't know, John Coltrane was a saxophone player. It's like way deeper than that. Yes, she was a singer. Yes, she had extraordinary vocal capacity. Yes, her range was once in a lifetime. But she was also an incredibly beloved, iconic figure in the culture of Egypt, and I'm sure elsewhere in the Arabic world. When she died, I've read, millions and millions and millions of people flooded the streets in grief. Pallbearers, it has been said, who were carrying her casket in an official capacity, people just were like, no, give us that casket. and they wrested it from the hands of the officials to carry it themselves, which is one indication of how much she was, quote, of the people, unquote. It was like she was the heart of Egypt. I heard of Kulthoum many years ago, decades ago, because I worked in music and I knew singers. And whether they were blues singers or folky singers or rock singers, many of them said, Kulthum is it. Not that they were singing what she sang, but the respect for her vocal capacity was unparalleled. And my favorite blues singer, Angela Straley, is the one who turned me on to Kulthum many years ago, as mentioned. And I thank her for that. Thank you, Angela Straley. Also an extraordinary singer, one of my favorites. We will play something of hers at another point. So this song is called Lelat Hob. I'm sure I did not pronounce that correctly. Lelat Hob is the best I have. I believe it means night of love. And the song, we won't play the whole thing because I think the full version is like 45 minutes long. It's live. This version that I have here is about a little less than 8 minutes long. And every time I listen to it, I'm like, what is going on there? Because the band, the musicians are playing, it's incredible. In the shortened version, she comes in pretty quickly, but in the longer versions, they're playing for a long time before she even shows up. At some point in the performance, which just sounds like, okay, guys or people playing, excellent. Suddenly people will start cheering and freaking out and applauding, and then it dies down. And to me, the music sounds the same, but something was communicated that I don't understand because I'm outside of the cultural context. But I love it. And I love that her most beloved recordings are live because you hear the adoration coming her way. So Lelat Hob by the extraordinary Kulthum. Her name is spelled in many ways in our alphabet, but I'll put several examples in the show notes and I'll link to the full version of this song. And you will not ever be sad that you spent time listening to Kulthum. Thank you.
show